Welcome to Reconciling SaaS, the interview series where I talk to accountants with innovative business models and growth strategies who are showing what success looks like in the industry. I'm Guy Pearson. I'm a recovering accountant, co-founder and CEO of Ignition. And today we are joined by Dawn Brolin, the CEO and founder of Powerful Accounting, Inc. Welcome, Dawn.
Well, Guy, thanks for having me. But I also must say that I am also every accountant's designated motivator because I want to help every single accountant be successful in their practice.
I love it. I love the energy. What a way to start. So given that you want to be the motivator and that's your mission in life, how did you get to here? So what's been your path, from day one of that career to now?
Wow, I probably crashed 15 cars in between beginning of my career and now. Could be more than 15. Probably a bunch of dead bodies behind me, but I just don't look back and I don't have to see it. But yeah, I mean, I knew Guy. I knew when I was 16, I wanted to be an accountant. I took my first high school accounting class, and they threw this packet down and said, "Hey, you're in business. We're going to learn how to keep track of it." And I was like, okay. And then, then we bust out. It was all by paper. We didn't have computers back then, really. We had, the black screen with the green letters, right? So we had this packet and it was like, okay, this is your business packet. And we learned how to do debits and credits and balance trial balances and ledgers and all this. I was like, wow, this so totally makes sense. I even went to college knowing I wanted to be an accountant and graduate with an accounting degree. A lot of times people go to college, they don't know what they want to do. Then they get there, they graduate with a computer degree, and then they start becoming a therapist. So there's the gamut of those people who have that, whatever they're going to do. So I just knew. And, started out in 99 with a bookkeeping business. A guy was putting an addition on my parents' home and said, "Hey, my accountant isn't going to do my books anymore. You want to do them? You have an accounting degree." And I was like, "I'll figure it out." Went to Staples, bought a QuickBooks desktop computer or software. And then I said to my husband, "Well, I need a computer to put this disc in." So we decided to roof a 40 square barn by hand. So in order to earn the money to buy the computer in order to start the business. And so that's kind of how, a fun story, about how I started. And then since, there's a lot that happened in between from that bookkeeping business to becoming partners with people, leaving the partnership, hiring 10 employees, getting rid of that nightmare. And then now to the point where, 2019, I decided to volunteer coach college softball, which is people, if you know me, that's one of my biggest stories. And realized really my purpose in life wasn't just accounting. I thought it was, but it wasn't just accounting, but rather to be able to positively influence other people and to pull the best out of people and help them believe in themselves and the things that they can do. And then that transpired into accounting and my fellow colleagues. And so here I sit today with what I call a pretty darn well-defined practice. Am I perfect at what I do? Heck no. Is anyone? No. And if you think you are, you're lying to yourself. But, and really excited about inspiring people and still continuing to volunteer college softball coach. So let me just make a mark here for you, Guy, and I'll let you ask the next question. But Perfect. It is not busy season and it is not tax season. It is softball season in which we do taxes. That's what it is.
I remember. And it's going to be a bit of a segue. I watched a great movie called The Shawshank Redemption. And do you remember what they did? They overlapped the baseball season with the prison guards to combine with tax or busy season so that the Andy Dufresne, I think his name was, could do the taxes for all the guards.
Yep.
So is that kind of how you feel? You're like, the two are coincided. They have to coexist.
Absolutely.
We're going to do it all at the same time.
Exactly. Wow. Yeah. They got to coexist, man. So that's what we're going after. And really, so fun to think about the journey, but also sad to think about what if I actually had my stuff together back in 99, the way I have it. I don't want to say I have all my stuff together, but let's just say from a firm perspective, I'm pretty good. No firm is perfect, but always trying to evolve and get better. If I knew then what I know now and the experience and the knowledge I had, imagine if that was instant, I could be a bazillionaire helping a lot more people. But unfortunately, I'm not a bazillionaire, but fortunately, I'm still helping people.
That's great. I love your motivation. You have the slogan, and I'm not sure if this is something that we've picked up, but powered by Team Brolin. Do you want to dive into that? It's obviously Powerful Accounting is a pretty strong name, but you've got a team of Brolin or Team Brolin. Can you define that for people who may not know what you're referring to?
Yeah, well, again, I've just always been into athletics and sports, and whether I was, playing in college or coaching or whatever it may be, I always feel like a team is really important, whether it's a sports team, whether it's a family team, family unit, so I refer to a lot of things as teams. And so when I had started to build Powerful Accounting with employees and growing that team at Powerful Accounting, I was like, guys, we are a team. This is like everybody in for each other. And I had some really great employees that came through Powerful Accounting. And then over time, even in 19, I lost a couple people, and COVID hits. And it's kind of like now the practice is kind of shrinking from a person interacting, but there's still 3 people. Plus I have a couple tax partners, but we're a team. We're all in this together. And so I believe, Team Brolin, even my clients are part of my team. Like, listen, this is like one big happy family, although sometimes we want to kill each other. But for the most part, it's, I'm all about the sports references because I really truly believe that sports, it doesn't matter what sport it is, it could be soccer, football, soccer / or it could be American football. But, in everything we have positions on our team, in our accounting, firm, we have the tax preparer is one position. And then we have the bookkeeper, that's one position, the admin, that's one position. And what you want to do is you always want to fill those positions with the best people. So when you're playing softball, you want the best pitcher possible. That's how you win games. We got to win games. Sorry, Dallas Cowboys, but I'm not sorry. So it's like, at the end of the day, the way we're approaching life, Team Brolin came from my love and passion for sports and how I try to apply it in my life.
Fantastic. Now, just continuing on with the sports reference for a second, are you a player coach? Are you a GM? Are you just a coach? Like, how do you see your role on the team?
Well, it's funny that you say that because in 2019, when the head coach of the team was a former teammate of mine, we won a national championship in 1990. So I'm 53. Let's just get the age out. And so, so she's now has been the head coach of the college where we played at. And I live locally. We've been stayed friends. And she's like, she got me in the dugout one game. And she was like, because I was giving out an award and stuff. So she's like, why don't you come in the dugout? And it like brought me back. It was like flashback to how much passion I have for the game of softball. And so the next year she said, hey, why don't you come coach with me? And I said, all right, well, I do your taxes, right? It's tax season, right? And I was like, not really sure I can do this for you. I said, I'll tell you what, I'll come when I can. I'll do the best I can. My point in telling that small part of the story is when I got to the first practice, I immediately was like, I'm never going to miss anything. Like, this is where I belong. It was so awesome. So she gave me my bag tag, and the bag tag said volunteer assistant or volunteer assistant coach or something. And I'm like, that's disgusting. I'm not a volunteer assistant coach. But then I went back to my office and I sat down and I said, well, what the heck am I? What am I? And I said, well, first of all, I'm the co-head coach. Like, I'm not going to be an assistant. You can't call me that because that's silly. And then I said, but what am I going to do for these kids? I'm not a technical coach. I'm not this. And I still have the bag tag, the designated motivator. That's what I named myself because I figured out what I wanted to do to help that team be better. And I'm not saying it wasn't about Dawn Brolin. It was about somebody that is a designated motivator, took a team from the prior year. They were 12-26. They were not very good. And that year they came in 3rd in the country.
Wow.
3rd in the country. Now, like I said, it wasn't me. It was somebody performing the duties of a designated motivator. And so, that's where I get my passion from, and my, like, it's something that's so hard to describe. But when you find something that you're so, like, you first fall in love and you're going to get married, they call it the honeymoon thing. This is a constant honeymoon with this volunteer coaching. And so you asked me what my title was. Well, I'm a volunteer assistant, but that's not what I tell anybody. I'm the designated motivator for Eastern Connecticut State University women's softball, period.
There you go. And what about a Powerful Accounting?
I'm just there. I do what Tracy says. I think I'm just an employee. I do what Tracy says. I do what says. And I think designated motivator, I don't know, these 2 ladies don't need motivation, but what I try to do is to facilitate improvements within the practice to make it be more efficient so that all we are is productive and we're never busy. Because that's, that's the thing. It's like being busy, anyone can sit in an office for 14 hours, but that's just being busy. But how productive are you in those 14 hours? You're probably productive 6 or 7 of those 14 hours.
100%. Cool. Well, I love your story and I love your personality, your energy, and what you're about. So kudos. Not only did you win or get 3rd place for the softball team last year, you took home a couple of awards. So you got top presenter from CPA Academy, and then you're in the top 100 most influential people in the accounting profession with Accounting Today. 2-part question. How does it feel to win or be recognized? And then the second part, what do you do to celebrate those accolades?
So number one, it's extremely humbling. I'll say label, that's a terrible word, but I think they think of me as somebody who's very extroverted and I'm all out there and I've got all this juice, this energy and fire and whatever. It comes from my gut and my soul. But at the same time, I'm also kind of introverted. Like, to get awards is super humbling. And like, I'm learning to, I think this is really what it is. I'm learning to accept that that I've accomplished something, where rather most of the time I just want to deflect it. Like, hey, yeah, that's great. Like, thank you so much, but I'm just Dawn Brolin. Like, I'm just doing what I love to do and the passion I have to help my other practitioners. And those to me, I think those awards for me mean that I'm actually making a difference. I think that that's the most important thing, is that, I'm honored. The people on those lists are, to me, my mentors and just people I'm learning from. But it at least shows me that, because at the end of the day, all I want to do is make a difference. I want people to change their lives. I mean, for me, 23 years of being in business, just trying to figure it out, bashing my head against the wall. And finally, I feel like I figured something out when it comes to running a firm and doing it in a way that gives you some peace in your life. Because as you know, Guy, running your business, there's a lot of anxiety, stress, ups and downs. Cars went off cliffs, bodies were behind you, bleeding all over the place, whatever, not on purpose, but just you didn't know, you were learning and going through it. And I feel like I look forward to even more improvements because of where I've gotten to now versus where I really want to be and what I really want to do to help other people. And that's what gets me up in the morning, is getting out there and helping other people. Because if it was up for me, I'll be in my bed playing Candy Crush after I do my Wordle.
They got you.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Well, sincere congratulations to me. I think it's awesome what you do and how you help others and how you help others sort of get past potentially how they see themselves, what the limitations are. Like you said, there's no motivator. I think it's great. And obviously from afar, so here in Australia, but it's still noticed. So that's
we got to work on me getting over there.
I mean, there's a flight. You're on the East Coast, right? Connecticut. So it's New York, LA, New York, Dallas, Sydney. One of those two. Okay. So it's not a short trip.
With the sleeping bed, though. I got a sleeping bed once on my way home. Where was I coming home from? And I was on American Airlines. I'm like, whoa, I want to travel like this, even if I'm just flying to Chicago. You put your feet up, they got the little leg hole, you know what I mean? Like the footrest and everything. I'm like, oh man.
Yep. It's well priced. Let's just put it that way. But you do pay for what you get, I think, on the long haul, particularly. I'm not sure about the Chicago legs. I feel like that's only a couple of hours, but on the long legs, it's worthwhile. Perfect. Well, I've got a couple of questions for you. So we heading into softball / busy / tax season. The season.
Yep.
We had a brief chat offline before we started recording, and you were telling me about sort of a deadline you set that people need to do their planning for 2024 we've just gone into. And then you've changed some things about how you get ready to prepare for tax season in terms of how you communicate with your customers or your clients. Do you want to run me through some of those and maybe some tips we can get to after that?
Yeah, I've never been more excited for softball season in which we do taxes, because a year and 3 months ago, we started working on the 3-tier pricing strategy for business clients. So we did the what Ron Baker calls subscription pricing, what Dawn Brolin calls relationship pricing. And as I always tell Ron, I'm not pricing based on my relationship with them. I'm basing it on the value, but I find it to be the approach in the conversation to the client is that I want to build a relationship with you. I want you to call me whenever you need to call me. I want to have conversations with you through the year, not just at tax season, like all those kind of things that we think should be basic, but they don't seem to be that way. And that may be just a trend in the accounting industry in the past. And then it's time to shift and change. So we implemented that subscription pricing for 2023. And the way we reverse engineered it, the way we did it, and it was great. We learned a lot from it, the good, the bad, and the ugly. There was a good and bad and ugly. And the thing is that people are always asking, well, how do you get started? Well, you've got to change your mindset. You've got to understand that you're changing your pricing model. You're changing the way your business model operates. Don't approach it like, oh, I'm doing this for you, client, because I just told them I'm doing it for me. To begin with, I've got to put my mask on first. And you know what? Billing you by the hour and sending out invoices every Monday and that kind of garbage is not working for me anymore. And so I need to steady my cash flow so that I can concentrate on your work and the product I need to give you. So we did that, and that was great. But we were like, we need to improve this. Something better has to happen. And there were some clients we wanted to get rid of. Like, you know what? This person's on relationship pricing, but they're kind of a jerk. I don't really want to work with them anymore. Their money is not everything. So we learned kind of that process. And then we said, okay, so we worked on some additional subscription pricing clients that hadn't jumped on, but we really liked working with them. And we said, hey, I mean, let's talk through this, blah, blah, blah. So we got kind of those people on board. But this is the really big change as we're moving into softball season in which we do taxes, is that I changed the way I looked at working with the individual clients. And I said, you know what? I'm the only one preparing the tax returns. So all these returns are on me. I mean, I'm one person, 200 returns, 210 returns is a lot of returns. And especially when you're coaching softball. So I don't, and I'm like a 5-hour workday girl, 6 at the most. Like that's where I'm at in my life, right? At my age and my experience, where I'm at. So we said, you know what we're going to do? We're going to bite the bullet and we're going to make people pay up front. And I've been on webinars, many, many, many webinars, talking about this over the last couple months. And people are like, Brolin, you are out of your mind. You are nuts. And I'm like, you know what? Y'all think I am anyway. I'm just going to go for it. So why this is so timely, because I just sent out all of my individual engagement letters, business engagement letters where people have their own bookkeepers and all do all their own stuff. And there's a few that I'm willing to just do the tax return. It's not many, but we sent out all those engagement letters. And I did this, which is so fun. And I love my good video. I love my video. And I put my proposal together and I put my videos together. We'll talk a little bit more in detail about that. But I fired off to everybody. I'm like, not making any exceptions. Bang, bang. Everyone's getting this sucker. One person, and this has been 4 days, we're on our 4th day. One person, I said, if there are any exceptions, I have some people who don't have a lot of money, and I'm okay with exceptions, not the rule, but the exception. Call Tracy and we'll make other arrangements. One person already called Tracy. Brolin, I'm with you, but I called Tracy. We're good. No problem. Was not surprised. It's okay. Another one said, I'm going to have someone do my taxes locally. Awesome. Have a great time. No problem. No big deal. Today, I received an email from a client that said, Brolin, you are nuts, but I'm staying with you anyway. And off we went. And so we collected over $13,000 in client fees in 3 days. And guess what? Those people are in line. And part of the reason I did that is, you know what? You now have skin in the game. I'm sick of chasing you. If you've paid me, you probably want your taxes done. Now we've both got skin in the game. Let's do it. So that's my approach changed the way I wanted to do this. And I want to know who was in and who was out. Like, I'm committing to you to do your return. You need to commit back to me. And that's the way I approached it. And I don't regret it.
I love it. For those who have fear of the change, which I feel like, obviously given my business style and my background is in running a similar style CPA firm to what you're talking about just now, the change piece and the fear of clients departing is typically the biggest hurdle to get over. There's also the fear of charging the wrong price, right? So that's another thing. But that change and the fear of the clients departing, how, like, you've had one depart out of 210, did you say?
Mm-hmm.
Do you think there'll be, like, they've got a deadline as well? I think we talked
Yeah.
about, so they've got a couple of weeks, right? So what's your limit? Are you like, if 10 leave, that's okay, we're not at risk for cash flow for the whole tax period and we're getting paid in advance, so who cares? Or what's the sort of attitude towards that?
Well, so because we moved to this subscription pricing, our 12 months of finances, of payroll, software expenses, other expenses, travel expenses, you name it, CPE expense, license expense, all that stuff is covered under our relationship pricing, subscription pricing clients. So we set ourselves up for success in 2023 by getting this subscription pricing plan that Ron Baker talks about. We went for it. So that gives us stability to have a lot more in the way of, I'll call it guts, for lack of a better description, the guts to go for it and say, you know what, I'm going to make this change this year. And so knowing that we already have $500,000 in revenue coming in from all the other work, which the other work, by the way, is no more than 20 people. And I say that because some of them, not all of them, some of them have multiple entities. So they're charged a bit more. But we could work with just that group of people and be fine. The tax returns to me is boat money, my ability to buy a bigger boat. So it's boat money for me. And so, but at the same time, I think because I made that transition with the subscription pricing, gives me that confidence that even if every single client said, Brolin, you're nuts, I'm out of here, I'm working less, even less than I'm working now. I'm not objecting to that at all, so, and I think, and I understand it's a fear for people, right, Guy? I know it's a hurdle to overcome, but I also think, and I think we're going to already talk about what I see for the future of the industry and kind of trends that I see coming. One of the biggest ones that I see coming is client displacement. And what do I mean by client displacement? Somebody will probably steal this and it's okay. I want everybody to be smart. So client displacement is those clients who don't see the value in what the accountant does. And they're going to eventually they're going to run out of doors to knock on. See, we're not knocking on doors anymore. They're knocking on doors because the complications around IRS changing regulations, BOI FinCEN reporting, foreign bank account reporting, all kinds of things, S corporation, a reasonable compensation. Like if you're an S corporation, you're not doing it right, you don't want to pay for a reasonable comp analysis, go find another practitioner that will put their licenses at risk, or the fact that they could get fined $5,000 by the IRS for not performing one. You go find somebody who's willing to lose their license over your inability to pay $2,500 for a reasonable comp analysis. Not my problem. So more and more as things are changing and risks are rising, I see risk rising for accounting practitioners. I also see a risk rising in what I will call litigious clients. Those clients are going to blame other people for their issues with taxes, which, by the way, I could summarize all of them right now. The IRS is, Eric Green's been saying this for years. The IRS is coming. And I'm going to tell you this. I have a friend of mine. He's not a client, but he's a friend of mine. He's not a client for a reason, and this is why. Just got his letter. He's a non-filer. He's a power washer. Power washes buildings and houses and hasn't done a tax return ever. And he's finally got his letter from the IRS. Hey, I got to file my returns. I'm like, yep, told you it was coming, Jay. Told you it was coming, man. And that's what we're going to see as we move forward. So what does that mean for the practitioner? The more process you have in place and the more structure you have in your business and the more that you drive the client experience, not the client driving you, right? The more we can do that and prepare when the tsunami hits, which I believe is it's already, you can see it. You can see it out in the ocean. It's coming. So when you see that tsunami, what are you doing? You're running for the hills. Well, guess what? What if you had like this cool house that had this like bubble around it and it had all this oxygen flowing around? So when the tsunami hit, it was like bulletproof, so it couldn't be smashed into pieces. and the tsunami came and you just lived under the bubble like SpongeBob lives on land, like think about that. You'd be all set. So where's your big bubble that you're building? Have you built your bubble for the tsunami? We're building our bubble. I just made that up, but I think it's a good reference.
All right. Well, I live in the bubble. I'm not sure we should trend that, but I get the, I get the
right.
meaning.
Well,
It's preparation,
but build
right?
your protected practice is really what you need to do.
Well, let's keep pulling on that thread. So I'm going to guess, given how much we've interacted over the years and polls we've put online, etc., that tech is a huge unlock for this. Is not meant to be a plug for us, but
Right.
what do you think? Future of accounting, so future of CPAs. What do you think? What's the tech they need to have implemented already, and what's in your tech stack now, and what are you thinking about as you move forward?
Yeah, it's really, to me, really important, as much as you can minimize the administrative burden that a firm owner is participating in. Now, obviously, if you're a large enough firm, you've got administrative staff, you've got, people that are managing, let's just say organizers, and people that are managing dropping off documents and all those kind of things. I think the dropping off of documents is something that will happen for maybe another 5 or 10 years as the next generation they die. Okay. At the end of the day, they're dying. The older people, they're dying. That's, I guess, the point there. But as the younger generation and the generation that continues to come, they want to be electronic. They want to be on their phone. They want to have a place where they could pick their phone up, snap that picture of that W-2 and get it to you without having to sit at a computer. That's where that's happening. So as far as terms of what you're doing now, if you don't have a practice management tool that will keep track of the work that you need to do and who's assigned and how to communicate in between you and your staff without having to pick up a phone. Like I love the phone when I need to love the phone, when it's like, you know what, this is easier than trying to Slack this. Let me just call Nicole, whatever. Let's talk about this. It's too much typing, we're going to get away from more of that. I see. Being able to create those processes and procedures so that when you bring on new staff, that they're able to watch videos and see how you operate, because everybody's kind of different. It's just, I don't think that will change too much. But as far as the technology goes, I'm a QuickBooks desktop lover, but guess what? People are going online. Xero and QuickBooks Online are I'd say the two heavy hitters out there that are trending, and people are no, don't take away my desktop. And I was one of those people, I'm not going to lie, but it's kind of time to get it together. But I definitely see payments and invoicing and accounts receivable should know. I don't understand how anyone has accounts receivable. I don't get it. It makes no sense to me, because it's like you leave with your groceries and you don't say to the guy, the cashier, well, there's hardly any cashiers left, or the computer for self-checkout. And you're like, hey, I'll be back next week. I really don't have the money today. Or, you know what? Send me a bill at the end of the month. I'll pay for all my groceries at once. That's called a credit card, by the way. They ain't doing that at the grocery store. It's a credit card. The credit card will do that for you, but businesses can't. And so I see that definitely if you're now still billing by the hour and sending invoices and tracking accounts receivable, I see accounts receivable and billing as a barrier between you and a client. The invoice itself, the fact that the client, you're not calling them and saying, hey, I have an invoice for you. We worked 3 hours on this and 5 on that, and this is what we did, and explain it. No, you shoot the invoice by email, the client gets it, and they're not happy. If it's $100 or $10,000, they're not happy. So if you just set that expectation up front, no one has surprises. Got to have that in place. And, at the end of the day, all the things that you're going to do for your client, you should have tools in place to accomplish the work you need to do. For instance, reasonable comp reports, RC reports. Why are you doing anything manually? Or why are you saying, your reasonable comp, 75% of your gross income or net income? Or what that's called guessing. That's not an analysis. It's guessing. So if you're promising these deliverables for the value pricing, that the pricing that you're saying, we value what we do in these areas as this, but you don't have the tools to perform it, or you're bogged down by administrative work, you're living in your email, what are you doing? You're definitely not making money. So that's what I like to tell people. They're like, Brolin, I need to make more money. And you are crazy. You charge too much and all this other stuff. It's working for me. So I'm going to kind of go that route and not the route of, well, I get in my office and I check my email like for the first hour. Absolutely not. That does not make me money. What makes me money is doing the work for my clients to protect them, to maximize their deductions, using a tool like Dext for their receipt capture. Because guess what? The IRS is coming down hard on receipts because they're going to say to you, why can't you manage your receipts? Well, it's just too much. Oh, really? So you mean taking the 7 million pictures you post on Facebook is too much? Just take a picture of your darn receipt. And why just take a picture? Put it into a tool. What are you doing? I could go on and on, Guy.
Yeah, I'm feeling the passion come through. And I mean, let's talk about the elephant in the room. So what's AI going to change?
Oh,
What do you think that unlocks or challenges for our industry?
I can tell you right now, let's talk about the challenge. People are going to rely too much on it and take it by the Bible and take it, creating their own engagement letters with AI. And that's not the way to do things like that. Terms and conditions and things like that, or research, IRS research. It's not our IRS research tool, people. It's not what that is, right? But what is a couple of great things about AI? Number one, helps you create processes a lot faster than you could before. Gives you at least a template. I like to call it mud on the wall. Get me started. And so I have found from a practitioner's perspective in cutting down administrative time, were my proposals. And what do I mean by that? Not my engagement letters. Those came from my E&O insurance. But the description of the services that I'm going to provide, it really helped me generate that stuff that I need to put in when I set up my services, right? And then at the end of a proposal, I'm putting in a custom email. I'm saving email templates like an absolute animal. I am a template girl. So when I was getting my proposals together, I was like, okay, I want to make sure I say this. So I would type out what I think and I'd put it into Chat GPT and it would sound so much nicer. Like sometimes it would say, your message is aggressive. I want it to be a little kinder than my aggressive Connecticut, New England, psychotic writing. You know what I mean? We're a different.
But that's part of your charm.
It's so good. It's so good. So, AI is going to do things we don't even understand anymore. Dext, for instance, let's use Dext for an example. AI, what Dext does is it takes a receipt and it reads it for you. It knows it's the Home Depot. That's the vendor. It knows the amount. It knows the sales tax. It's doing that work that you would normally be going in and categorizing or doing certain things, setting up rules within it to say, anytime I go to Staples, it's office supplies. I know when I look at my office supplies, I scan through, did I buy a computer? Okay, we'll put that on the balance sheet. But that's all I'm doing. The rest of it's done through AI. And that's the beauty of it. And Intuit was, a big proponent of that with bank feeds. Now, I won't get into my opinion on bank feeds, but that's a form of AI. Ledger Sync, fetching statements to be able to turn things into CSV files, all kinds of AI that's been happening that we didn't define it, I think. I don't think we understood that those interpretations of technology were AI till Chat GPT came out and then everyone's like, oh, that's AI. Well, no, honey, you've been doing AI for years now. You just didn't know it. But I see applications utilizing, I can see, and I'm gonna point out Ignition for a second. Sure. But I can see Ignition being able to say, okay, without my hands, I'm like hands-free driving. You don't drive with your hands-free when you drive. So I say, Ignition, go into all my S Corporation proposals from last year, increase the fee by $500 and send out all the engagements. And it does it. You know what that does? That just saved me. I mean, it only took me like 3 hours to send all of my engagement letters out, but I'm just saying, those are the things I'm seeing coming, right? I don't want to see it get too techie because then we're going to be in the Matrix. I'll be dead before the world turns into the Matrix, right? So I'll be dead before that happens. But
Okay.
Just so much learning that all of the apps are already implementing AI within their tools, helping suggest responses for emails to clients. Another great way. Some people are just not good writers. That's going to help them get across. Okay, there you go. So Guy, you got ChatGPT to help you. Hey, help me develop. Well, I actually fired a client last week, and I said, I'm going to let ChatGPT help me fire this client. And I said, help me carefully disengage a client from an accounting firm. And it wrote a nice email. And I said, well, take out the bullet points. Okay. Make sure you say this. Okay. And it helped me develop that email. And so I wasn't overthinking it. It probably would take me 4 times as long if I didn't have a helper. AI is a helper. It's an extension of your staff. It's your internal editor. And it does great things. But you got to be careful.
Yeah, I think the privacy of the data is the interesting part, because obviously you need to submit data to get an aggregated data set back. So I think, candidly, that's only concern, and that's probably more my accounting CPA background more than my entrepreneur background, if that makes sense. So Matt Canis, you know pretty well. He made some predictions about 2024. Number one is the accounting firms will not only need to manage scope creep, but monetize it. So think about ways to actually charge for things when clients ask for more, which I feel like goes into your relationship pricing when the scenarios change. So that's trend one. Trend two would be need to find non-traditional ways to find and retain talent, given the war on talent in our industry, being accounting. And then trend three was the explosion of AI is a wake-up call to the industry. Now, we just talked in depth about AI. Do you think scope creep and managing it, finding and retaining talent in non-traditional ways, e.g. not the normal way you do it, or AI being a wake-up call, what do you think's the standout? Or do you disagree with any of those?
I definitely don't disagree. I think that we're going to thinking about talent is a great example. Thinking about the fact that utilizing a tool such as Gruntworks or SurePrep to take away the mundane W-2 entry. You take those documents, you give them to Gruntworks, they put them in order. Don't need a person to do that. They take the W-2s, populate a file that I stick into Lacert. I don't have to hand key those W-2s anymore. Now I'm becoming more of it, and that's AI. That's more of a way for me to not bring in a staff account. I'm not saying I wouldn't bring one in, but I wouldn't bring them in to enter W-2s. I want to bring them in to do something with more value, more of their brain. So I definitely see the talent side of it being very different. AI certainly is going to disrupt. And we know that eventually, I don't know if it'll be in my career lifetime, but with AI populating those W-2s without even having to scan documents, where these employers are going to be connected into this crazy W-2 thing. I don't know, maybe Social Security, where they get, or to the IRS, where they get submitted and go on a transcript. They're going to maybe that's going to happen, and that data is going to automatically populate. And the only thing tax preparers are going to have to do is maybe some Schedule C's and business tax returns, but I even see that being automated. Look at what QBO is doing and connecting to something like ProConnect, where it can automatically import. So it's going to be major disruption, but here's where I definitely think those who have the open mind to accept exactly what you just said for those 3 areas of where the trends are going. If you accept it, embrace it, and roll with the wave and go with it and surf it out, man, surf that wave, you're going to be shocked at where you're going to be just even 5 years from now, probably even 2. If you accept it, if you push away, you are going to drown. You're going to drown. And I think that that's a really important message for people.
100%. I've got one last, let's call it a tactical question before we get into a little bit of fun. So I'll ask this, and then we can sort of move to wrapping up. But there's going to be heads down pretty soon for you all, softball/tax season, or softball season where you do taxes. When you get through to the end, and I know that it's kind of like split in 2 parts, right? It's once again Australian, but like there's the April sort of deadline-ish, and then there's like summer, and then there's an October one. And this is once again me learning outside in. Do you do a retrospective at all at the end of like the craziness, and then like, how do you go about thinking how you improve for the next year's sprint at this time of year?
Yeah, 100%. So we absolutely do that. We do it through tax season. So we take a look at it, like we find a pain point and we're just like, oh my goodness, how can we improve this process? Because this is killing us. We actually have a list that we keep, the three of us keep a list at the end of tax season, usually like either end of April, mid-March, we'll review the list and we'll say, okay, what do you guys think? How could we better improve this? How can we make this better or whatever? And so we get together as a team, we think about what we're going to do. And then we say, all right, Nicole, you're having trouble with that. Why don't you go see if you can find a solution to help you with that problem? If you can't come up with one, then let me take a turn at your solution. You could take a turn at mine. And so we work together to see where we're going to solve. So one of the things I wanted to say about the beginning of the question was, you've got the initial 2.5 months of craziness, and then you have a little bit of a break, and then you have the extension season. In my video and my messaging to my clients is I am not doing extensions unless there's an extenuating circumstance like a K1 that I don't prepare that we're waiting on, or there was a death in the family, or there was flooding because there was some kind of natural disaster. Those kind of things I can accept. I said, but you as an individual, so I start with the individuals, you as an individual, there is no reason why you can't gather those little papers and download those little forms or whatever you got to do and get them to us in the next 30 days. There's zero reason why you can't do that. You're just being lazy and it's not important to you. And I tell them this, I'm very upfront. I don't think I told them that they were lazy, but I just said, like, you should be able to do this. And then I get even harder at the business clients. Why are you waiting until August to give me your business data from the prior year? Your business data is not meant to be for a tax preparation. It's supposed to be to run and make decisions on your business. So I'm not doing extensions for you as business owners this year. So if you expect that you're not, unless it's our choice, maybe there's some complicated things we've got to amend maybe for ERC. And so we're going to kind of put you off until May because we want to get the ERC amendments done. And then we'll do your 2023 filing. Like there may be logistical reasons why we would extend, but your sheer laziness is not acceptable any longer at Powerful Accounting. So, at the end of the day, October through I would say November, first week of December is tax planning. It's year-end tax planning. Let's see where you're at. What are we going to do? Do we need to set up this, make an estimated payment, all these kind of things? It shouldn't be, we do the fire drill in 2024, like now. It's too late. It's way too late. And I did have a client say to me, I can't believe you take the last 2 weeks of December off. That's when tax planning happens. I go, oh, are you a tax accountant? And he's like, no. I go, then you don't know when it is. Because when it is in November, and then you execute in December. And, I understand there may be a thing here and there, but I'm like, but first of all, you don't tell me when I take my vacation. So you could probably find another practitioner because you don't dictate when I go away and take vacation. I get to do that because I get to do that. But that's the whole goal. The whole goal is these business owners should have their returns done timely because their books should be done every month. January, you clean it all up. We're ready to go. February, we're booking it. We're pumping out these tax returns. We're getting the individuals done. And then you know what we do the rest of the year? We help you with your business. We don't do taxes when I'm trying to help you with your business. And that's just the attitude. I have changed it. And listen, it's softball season, man. I'm ready to run. I got softball. I do taxes. I'll do whatever I got to do I could do anything for 2.5 months, but I'm not doing it for 10.
Understood. Perfect. Love it.
Are you afraid, Guy? You look, am I all?
No. I've met a few people who share your same view on how they deal with their clients in my time. Obviously, I've met, as a peer and then running a software company that sells to accounting and bookkeepers, just lots. And it's, I'm flashing back on some conversations right now, which is kind of entertaining for me. But let's move forward. I'm going to ask you some fun questions. And then if you've seen Hot Wings, there's going to be the spotlight for yourself to share what's going on in your life. So my questions are fill in the blanks. They're supposed to be fun.
Okay, I'm ready.
First answer is the right answer. Perfect. So on the weekend, you'll find me
playing pool
or
awesome. Watching football.
Nice. My favorite thing to do on a vacation is
do nothing.
Do nothing. Perfect. What is your favorite concert that you've ever been to?
Genesis, 100% hands down done.
Nice. Okay. Wasn't expecting that answer. Phil Collins.
Oh
Respect.
yes. Love
What's your favorite softball player position?
left field. That's where I played.
Left field. Okay. And so for the uninitiated, that's like behind the third base person?
Yep, you got it.
Yep. Okay. All right. Sweet. Thank you. You mentioned at the top that you erected, and hopefully I get this right, you erected a barn to pay for your first computer. Have you ever built any other extensions or other things like DIY?
Yes. Well, I actually, when my husband, we first were dating, he was a contractor, and
Okay, awesome.
yeah, and we built it. I helped them build a house. I did siding, roofing, you name it. I did it. I can do any of that stuff. For the most part, I can put my own new door handles in. So I can do that by myself. Yeah, I could build your house for you. Probably wouldn't want to live in it, but I could do it.
Okay. Yeah, so I don't think you're sending out a quote to build someone's house with that sort of same rigor as you did with the accounting pieces. Yes. Perhaps. Well, who knows? Perfect. Well, look, Dawn, this has been an absolute pleasure. It's time for me to go quiet and let you take center stage. So tell people how to get in contact with you. Tell people anything you want to share about yourself or Powerful Accounting, and close us out.
Yeah, the only thing I love to follow up with. I mean, I kind of told plenty about myself, and I think I took center stage enough, which is I get better at that. But I just get so fired up when I'm talking about this stuff. It's just so fun for me. And with you, Guy, I mean, I don't get a lot of time with you, so I'm like so honored to be able to just chat with you in general. But I would say, so I'm trying to build resources for people as much as I can at a website called dawnbrolin.com. And there you can find resources, price lists, engagement, or not engagement letters, but letters and forms and different things that I give away for people, free resources. But the one thing that I mostly get excited about is Dawn's Dugout. So softball, of course, it's Dawn's Dugout. And what I really was frustrated with was doing these podcasts or webinars or in-person, learning or whatever it may be. And once you're done with the podcast, once you're done with the webinar, it's over. Conversation ends at that moment. And there was never really a good way to follow up, and I couldn't do it individually. I got a lot of people that reach out to me individually, and I'm like, I really can't help everybody on an individual level. But what if I create a dugout where I can bring players in, because I call them players, bring the players in, and they can ask me questions and help out. So you can register for the dugout. It's typically the first Monday of every month that I just do an hour time slot, 2 to 3 Eastern, 4 to 5 Eastern time. So I do 2 time slots depending on when you could make it. And it's just a group of people that get together. Some new people. I get usually 25 people in the dugout from 2 to 3, and then anywhere from 10 to 15 in the second dugout. It's growing every week. Every month it seems to grow, but it's an opportunity to answer questions. I'm not saying that I'm the one always answering the questions. Other attendees know stuff too. And so we just kind of collaborate, help each other grow and get better as we're moving forward. I'm really excited about that. And certainly, I'm out on social media trying to create content to help people improve their practice. And I want everyone to have the life that I finally feel like I've earned, where, I'm charging what I feel like I'm worth for once in my lifetime. I've got good systems. I've got great people. I have great clients. I have great colleagues that are out there doing the same thing. I have a million of them to name, but Eric Green, Randy Crabtree, Ron Baker, there's a ton of people out there creating content to help you people, every people, to improve their firm and their practice. So that's just one way that I feel like I can give back to my community. And the only other thing I want to mention real quick, we started an organization called the Accounting Cornerstone Foundation. And we organized this in fall of 2022. And we sponsor and we give scholarships to 3 individuals to go to a conference, because I believe in-person learning. That's how I met Jenny Moore. That's how I met Randy Crabtree. That's how I met like some of my best friends, my best colleagues, is at a conference. But we also know, number one, it's intimidating. You might be a shy person, or you can't afford it in any way, shape, or form. Whatever the reason is, we don't care. We want to help you get there. So this year we have a big, audacious goal, big, hairy, audacious goal, I think they call it. And we're going to send 3 people to 4 conferences. So it's a great organization. It's called Accounting Cornerstone Foundation. You can find us at Accounting Cornerstone. I think it's accountingcornerstone.org. And We take donations, so it could be $5, could be $5,000. We don't care. It's for anybody to participate if they want to donate, and you can go there and apply yourself. So if you're listening, you've never been to in-person learning, go to the website, apply. We're working on the applications for 24 right now. They should be done by the end of this month, and go apply. We bring them together. We take them to dinner the first night. They never go alone, and we're there for them. And that's something I'm really, really passionate about in helping people. So we were successful with 6 in 2023. We're going to be successful with 12 in 2024 and beyond. Who knows what that's going to turn into, but I hope what it does is changes the lives of other people. That's what life is about anyway.
Awesome. Well, Dawn, once again, thank you so much for joining us. Those two things, the dugout specifically and the cornerstone, sound epic. I'm going to go check those out after we wrap up here. And I look forward to seeing you during 24. And thank you so much again for joining us. And good luck with softball/tax season.
You got it. Thank you guys so much. You're awesome, man. Keep doing what you're doing.